G'day guys, Huidag, kia ora. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, the Rugby Championship is the greatest tournament in the world, in all of sport, okay? And the old rivals this weekend at Eden Park, the most dreaded place, the impenetrable fortress of the mighty All Blacks, once again held up to the onslaught of the green and gold army of the Springboks. And boy, going to this game, following last couple of weeks, performances from the two sides, I thought this was, whoever, this could be an upset tonight. All Blacks didn't look that good last round against the Argentinians, and the Springboks, in my opinion, wasn't very convincing when it comes to beating the Springboks. They went back in that, not against the Wallabies, they went back to that traditional style of high ball up and under, box kicking, applying pressure just outside your 22, and then try to force penalties with scrummaging, and maybe one of those up and unders to get themselves on the scoreboard with goal kicking. Despite Rassie Erasmus coming into this game saying they're going to score more tries, they started off with that very conservative style of the Springbok rugby that worked for them for the Rugby World Cup. And just like my worries for their strategy against the Wallabies in the second test, this time against the All Blacks, just wasn't good enough. That was just they literally just hit a brick wall when they tried to do that. And the box kicks became, instead of an opportunity creator, became an opportunity waster. That they just kicking the ball away to the All Blacks, and they were more than happy to kick the ball back into a better position, trying out for those 50-22s, trying out for those longer return kicks. And then suddenly you're relying on just the scrummaging and then your rush defense to create penalties for yourselves, and then the All Blacks stayed disciplined and was able to just mitigate the entire game plan for the Springboks in the first half. And in the second half, Springboks, especially late in the second half, came out and showed the world why Rassie Erasmus has a doctorate and just changed up the game plan. Really, sometimes you got to put the team in the back against the wall to see what a man is made out of. And sure enough, the Springboks showed the world why they were the world champions, just so close to potentially pull the game away and then, winning the game. And the All Blacks, everybody's surprised, had an opportunity in the second half when they were leading by, a try. They could have just chipped the scoreboard over with a penalty and then made the Springboks score twice to win the game. But the All Blacks made the statement that I felt was lacking for many years. The intent to not just win the game, the intent to show the opposition that they are the superior team. They're not here to just pray for a penalty for the referee decision to win the game. They're here to take the win by the throat and claim it for themselves. The All Blacks actually backed themselves for a line-out and scored, getting a yellow card in the process against Albertus Smith as well, the bomb squad guy as well. And it was just outstanding performance from the All Blacks. And also the first half, the rush defense for the Springboks was circumvented by some really good, backdoor play and crossfield kick from Bowden Barrett as well. And then Imoni Nadawa immediately scored a try. I called for this guy to be added into the team, and he immediately delivered for the All Blacks fans, and then taken off try immediately. And also, this was the debut of Kyle Preston. The name, I actually thought it was a different guy. I thought it was, what was his name? I thought it was the other Crusaders halfback getting the debut here. I thought it was, what's his name? Rayhana getting a debut here at 10. But apparently it's Preston, Kyle Preston, the guy that was supposedly a carpenter or something, that was playing in the NPC and got caught up to the Crusaders due to injuries. And then he just scored 2 tries every game. And then the Crusaders all right, we're going to keep this guy scoring way too many tries. And then suddenly he's caught out due to injuries for the All Blacks. And then, with debut win against the world champions, this guy has reached the top of the world in 6 months of professional rugby. What a great debut for Kyle Preston there. But anyway, I digress. And All Blacks just pummeled in 2 tries immediately, and then just really both teams kind of just taper back a little bit there. Wasn't sure what's going on, but the Springboks definitely the team. I think this is what I talked about in the Wallabies game as well. The Springboks hasn't played that up and under, kicking the ball up and under and try to apply pressure, try to land the ball just outside your 22. Actually, let's look at the stats now, right? If you look at how long the Springboks actually spent in the All Blacks 22, 40 meters, halfway to the 22-meter mark. 48% of the times the Springboks were here. And if you look at the territory as well for the Springboks, where is it? 40% of the time for the Springboks was spent in the All Blacks 22 and halfway, and the Springboks just kicking that away, up and under, and it became so predictable, so stale, and yeah, I just, it kind of, again, this worked for them for the past, but it's almost like a year since the Rugby Championship last year, since the Springboks actually play their style. So it's not something that they have been playing. They've been trying new things. What really kind of disappointed me a little bit is that they didn't try that grubber kick down the sideline that worked against the Wallabies in the first test, where they blow away, 4 tries immediately. That little grubber kick down the sideline and use those speedsters, the pressure, those kicks. They didn't really do that this game, and they just resorted back to that up and under. They were given so many good opportunities here, in this zone, and they just wasted a lot of that. And I think that the Springboks' decisions early in the game really wasted way too much time and opportunity that they probably could have had an opportunity to win this one if it wasn't for that. For those wasted decision there. There's nothing wrong with the strategy. It's just that if it's not working, you need to shuffle up the things a little bit, right? The reason you had a lot of this new test moves that you've done in the last, almost, last 8 months or so, you gotta use them. You gotta use them at some point, and you don't just resort to the same up and unders until until half time, and then the coaches have to tell you to make substitutions to make a difference to the game. I think that's something that the Rassi will be very, very disappointed of. And also some of the silly penalties, Rassi was definitely not happy about that also. But then I think the penalties are less of an issue because, everyone makes penalties. Some of the handling errors as well. Henry Pollard passing the ball to the referee on a touch sideline. All of that is not really as bad as the amount of opportunities squandered because of the same style of attacking that wasn't working, but persisting on trying it, I think was probably the issue. And also, this game gave us the greatest scrum I have ever seen in the history of rugby. This has to be the most beautiful scrummaging I have ever seen from the Springboks. Just amazing. I watched this about 6 times after the try was scored. This was just so beautiful, so perfectly timed, right? You can see, one of the things that the Springboks talk about is about the coiling before the push. So they talk about the coil and then the extension. You can see here, Thomas the Tank Engine, it's actually overextended himself a little bit. And then he just coils himself back. You see the coil back? You can see that. They're timing the coil back on the feed, on the halfback. They coil themselves back, and it's like, it's like if you do weightlifting, a lot of the power lifters, they don't get the ball up to their chest and just press it straight up. They dip and then press to get that momentum on their side, to get the press over their head. Everybody's seen that powerlifters do that. It's exactly the same idea here. You wanted to coil and compress that muscle tension and then extend out of that. And they try to time this so perfectly. And the All Blacks just got disintegrated here. This absolute disintegration. Look at it. As soon as he goes in, he's already coiled. And extension comes through, and Encha, this camera angle from the New Zealand is pretty poor. Encha as well, coiled back, extends him through, and Lomax was just Encha is already on the hooker here. Lomax has already been squeezed out of the side. They're both pinching the middle onto the hooker because they knew when the ball comes in as well, the hooker takes the weight off. So both Encha and Thomas the Tank Engine pushed it in onto the hooker and lifted him up so he couldn't get the hook in. He couldn't get the hook because he was off the ground for a second. It was lifted up at both the South African props, and suddenly they're walking over the ball. This was just absolutely beautiful. This was so beautiful. Let's watch this again. This was so beautiful. Everything was done just to perfection. Bit of an overextension to get the All Blacks to go back, and then as they pull back forward, they coiled up, and both of them are angling right onto the hooker, right there. As he comes in, the ball comes in, both of them immediately, you see that little lift onto the hooker. As soon as the ball comes in, bam! The hooker is already at a 45-degree angle. He's not really just, that is just beautiful. Albertus, so close. Just brutal, ruthless aggression. Ruthless game of rugby. This was so beautiful. Oh my God, I will watch this over and over again just for fun. But that is just so beautiful to watch. And yeah, not quite able to do that once NJ came off. The Fat Thor, not quite able to do that. So, you know, the All Blacks definitely done a bit better after this scrum was being taken away from them. Also, Jason Ryan, the scrum, the forwards coach, did a lot of work for the All Blacks to disrupt some of the Springboks setup, like some of the line-out more setup, some of the line-out plays, some of the Springboks, I guess, tighter areas in terms of breakdowns. The All Blacks did really well to disrupt a lot of this structure out of the Springboks team immediately as they try to set it up. So, so again, it's very clear to me that the All Blacks forwards coach, Jason Ryan, has done a lot of homework behind the scenes with regards to how to disrupt the Springboks as much as they can without them being able to build much of a forward momentum. So let's have a look at the stats of the game. 3 tries for the All Blacks, for the Springboks 2. 3 conversions to 2. I think Pollard actually missed one of the penalties for the Springboks. There was a little bit far. I think there was a bit windy. Some people were saying he was kicking into the wind, and he just didn't quite make it there. There was one missed penalty goal for the Springboks there. There was a bit of interesting. I think there was one miss for the All Blacks as well. Jordie Barrett was kicking the goals, and then I think it was what's his name? Was taken off the field. Who was it? One of the All Blacks was taken off the field for a head knock, and then D-Mac was put on the field at fullback, or maybe it was maybe Beauden Barrett put the fullback. But anyway, once D-Mac came on, D-Mac started taking over the goal kicking. So it was really really interesting that Beauden Barrett wasn't given the goal kicking in a big game like this, because we know the Beauden has been really good and then just fell off a cliff. Almost seems to be this pattern every season. He would just fall off towards the international test comes around, and has been revoked of his kicking license, Beauden Barrett. So yeah, Jordie Barrett took a kick, and then he missed the conversion as well early in the first half. We're going to talk about the possession and territory. So yeah, Springboks, a lot of possessions inside around the 40-meter mark inside the All Blacks half, not able to convert any of that, a lot of that into any meaningful points. Last 10 minutes of Springboks, 78%, absolutely trying to rampant through for that draw. Couldn't quite get there. Scrum, 6 scrums apiece. 100% win rate for the Springboks. 1 scrum we just saw was a turnover against the All Blacks. 15 lineouts for the All Blacks, 18 for the Springboks. 80% completion rate for the All Blacks, 78% completion rate for the Springboks. So both teams are not really 100%. Restart receive percent. This is actually interesting. So there's the Springboks as well. A number of times were caught out for being obstruction, just like people standing around, being in the way of the chasers from the kickoff. And Rasi was not happy. And that's when the All Blacks scored their crucial third try as well. Rasi was not happy with that. If they didn't score that, the Springboks could have been a draw. And yeah, it's just really just one of the things that kickoff so important, and just players not being aware that they're actually blocking the chasers, because the ball goes over your top, you just turn your back, and next thing you know, the ball lands in front of you, someone runs into you, it's a penalty immediately. So there's definitely a change in interpretation there for the law. 124 passes, post-contact meters quite even overall, 221 to 227. Line breaks, 3 for the All Blacks, 1 for the Springboks. Sasha Fanberg and Gomezulu, when he came on, definitely changed up the pace a bit for the Springboks as well. More running, more carrying, and then just, I think maybe the one line break was might actually be from what's his name? From Sasha as well. And there was one actually play I thought was really clever from the Springbok late in the second half, where they had a line out, and then Dale Linda just immediately kicked the ball near the post. So then Jesse Crew chased up and tackled Preston in goal, and then immediately it was a 5-meter scrum for the Springboks, exactly what they were looking for. So just stuff like that. Really clever of how to get what they wanted. The scrum in the right areas, inside the 22, in front of the goalpost. Just really clever stuff like that from the Springboks as well. That was shown this game. There's one yellow card against Albertus Smith, where he was running from the try line. This was a bit silly. The ball was in the rack. He stepped over everybody and picked the ball up right in front of the referee. And the referee said that was cynical. Sent off for a yellow immediately. I think he knew what he was doing, but he did not expect that to be a straight yellow. He thought it was just a penalty. He didn't expect that to be a straight because it was already playing advantage. The Springboks were already playing advantage. So he thought he'd just take over, kill the ball, and then, minimize damage. And then what he did, and then the referee deemed what he did was cynical, and he actually got sent off for a yellow card. Tackle completion rate, 145 tackle made for the All Blacks, 24 missed tackles, 111 tackles made for the Springboks, 25 missed tackles, 86 to 81%. Not too bad overall. Total kicks in play, 34 for the All Blacks, 32 for the Springboks, and that is that. So yeah, 24-27 the final score. Let's do a quick recap of the results of the scoring. So yeah, the All Blacks actually get themselves on the ball a minute into the game. There was I think it was a 50-22 kick by Beauden Barrett, and then they throw the line out in, and then it was a crossfield kick to Narawa. Narawa kind of slipped, and Billy LaRue overran Narawa because he slipped, and Narawa just got up. No one in front of him, ran through for the try. 7 points to nil for the All Blacks. There was a 17. When was this? This was scored 2 minutes in the game? Yeah, 1 minute in the game. Wait, is it 1 minute? Oh yeah, it is 1 minute. Yeah. So anyway, I've got the time wrong here. Anyway, moving on. 17 minutes in the game, there was another line-out play, a little bit. It's inside the 22. This was another 50-22 from Beauden Barrett. I think this was. But anyway, there was the throw over the top. Wallace Atiti moved back and he caught the ball, and then it just opened up a little gap between him and the line-out, and they just popped the ball inside to Will Jordan, full speed into that little gap, straight in for the try. 14 points to nil for the All Blacks. 17 minutes on the clock. 21 minutes into the game, Ethan de Groot on the scrum slipped and gave us away a penalty, and then I thought this was a bad decision as well for the Springboks. 14 points behind, hardly had any opportunities. Should probably go for the try before trying to take 3, but they wanted to take 3, I guess, to settle their nerves. And then after this, 24 minutes, another penalty was given out. They decided to take another 3, and then they missed this one. So suddenly it's like, yep, probably should, at least maybe the first one you can take the 3. Second one probably should have taken the line out because you're so far behind anyway. Got to play rugby. After this, the Springboks just resorted to that box kicking style, not really yielding any results. And then there was a 39 minutes just for halftime. Hundred Pollard, after some kicking duel, he kicked a 50-22, and then the Springboks didn't throw the ball in time because it was too noisy. And the referee gave a short arm, and going into halftime, the All Blacks lead 14 points to 3. Second half, the All Blacks come out. There was a penalty against Pieter-Steph du Toit for playing the halfback. Again, in the ruck, there was a 3 points taken by the All Blacks on 50 minutes mark, 17 points to 3. After this, the Springboks is really starting to make a lot of mistakes. 100 Pollard, balls were going to the ground, passes wasn't going to the right places, and then Grant Williams dropping the ball from lineouts and that sort of stuff. Very, very frustrating to watch. I'm sure a lot of you, Booker maniacs are not going to be happy for this period. 61 minutes, finally the Springboks is starting to feeling a bit more energy with a lot of reserves coming on, and then really getting a bit of an urgency for the last 20 minutes. So like we just saw there, big scrum, turnover for the Springboks. Wildkard Smith crashed through, got close and pick and dry eventually. Malcolm Marks pick and dry for the try. 17 points to 10, and it's suddenly looking like Springboks back into the game. Only 7 points behind. And sure enough, the All Blacks had a penalty following this from the kickoff. Could have easily taken the 3, and some of the commentators were saying that it could have chipped away the 10-point lead. Nope, the All Blacks decided to go for the line out. And then for all that, there was penalty advantage. Wildkard Smith kills the ball. Referee sends him off for a yellow card. All Blacks win again for a line out. Just pressure. The ball came out, and the new man on the field from the Springboks, not hooker, Ethan, not a hooker, ran out, rushed off defense, and exposed, isolated by himself, and just got ran around essentially. Quinn Tupaia just crashed through for the try for the All Blacks. And suddenly the scoreboard ticks up to 2 tries, 24 points to 10. And then the Springboks came back with 10 minutes left with urgency, still tries to get the win. There was a nice little, like I said, there was a line out for the Springboks. David DeLenda kicked the ball over the top. Jesse Crew chased this one down. Tackled Preston in goal. 10-meter scrum. The Springboks gets the scrum penalty advantage and then just crashed through. And eventually, Kobus Reinach picked up the ball, saw the gap in front of him, crashed in for the try. 24 points to 17. And then, yeah, with the clock ticking down, the Springboks had more pressure inside the All Blacks 22 penalty, the win for the line out. And then eventually, Adi, the great Savea, 100th test match, gets the turnover. And you thought that maybe the All Blacks had won again, but nope. The referee, after this, the line out was, I think the line out was knocked on or something. And essentially the All Blacks, the Springboks got the ball back, but had one last hurrah. But eventually the All Blacks was able to flood the breakdown on one of the poor passes by the Springboks and gets the turnover and ended the game for a big, monumental, historical win. 24 points to 17. Great game of rugby. Let me know your thoughts. And thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next week for the news. Cheers.